Hello folks, meteorologist Jay McCagle here with your 12 News Weather School lesson. Today it's one of those that doesn't seem to grab the headlines like say a hurricane or a widespread tornado outbreak might, but it is a very serious subject. And again, it's one of those where it doesn't seem like it really falls into the severe weather category, but when you see the numbers I'm about to show you, you'll understand why as meteorologists we take it very serious. We're talking about heat. This is a look at the 10-year average of weather fatalities, and there's no comparison. Heat by far outweighs all the other fatalities when you look at floods, rip currents, winter weather, tornadoes, cold weather, cold temperatures, hurricanes, and lightning. Heat is one that is, in my opinion, more or less kind of underrated and not taken quite as serious as many of the others. Again, I think tornadoes and hurricanes, big winter storms really kind of grab the headlines a lot, but it is extreme heat that kills the most people when we talk about the United States on that yearly average there, and it is again a very serious weather phenomenon that we take very serious. So taking a look at some of the Arizona stats that we have for you, we'll take a look at Phoenix. You can also see that there's Coolidge, Parker, El Centro area, Yuma, and Globe. But right now, the average number of days with highs above 100 degrees in Phoenix is 110 days. Go 110 degrees, and it's 19 days of highs above that 110 mark. The average number of days with lows above the 80-degree mark, 67, nearly 1/6 of the year is going to have a low temperature above 80 degrees. The all-time record high for Phoenix, 122, set back in 1990. That was June 26. And the all-time record high low temperature, which is the overnight low, the highest overnight low, 96 degrees, July 15th. 2003. So we are talking about some very serious heat here in the desert Southwest, but this lesson here, this applies to all of the United States. Now we're going to take a look at the signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Very important to know these. Now heat exhaustion ahead of heat stroke. Feeling faint or dizzy, excessive sweating, cool, pale, clammy skin, nausea, vomiting, rapid, weak pulse, and muscle cramps. Now, if you start to feel those signs and you're out in the heat, the best thing you can do is get to a cooler place, get inside some air conditioning, drink water if that person is still conscious, and take a cool shower or use cold compresses. Now, for heat stroke, which is going to be more serious than heat exhaustion, you're going to end up with that throbbing headache. Definitely going to get your attention there. Also, no sweating at this point. The body temperature is now climbing 103 degrees. The skin is going to appear red. It's going to feel hot, and it's going to be dry. Again, no sweating. Also nausea or vomiting, and then a rapid, strong pulse. You're really going to feel that throbbing pulse, and that person may also lose consciousness. First thing, and the only thing you really need to do, call 911. Again, very important to get this person medical attention as quickly as possible. So know those signs so you can avoid that heat exhaustion and the heat stroke. Some spring heat fast facts. Now these pertain to Phoenix. You can see that on average, we see the 90-degree reading, the first high of 90 degrees at the end of March. By about mid-April, we should be hitting the mid-90s, and early May, 100 degrees. The earliest 100-degree reading, March 26, 1988. And the latest, 100 degrees, it held off until June 18th. That was back in 1913. All right, how do you know you have some excessive heat coming your way? Well, first of all, in the forecast, you're going to hear it from us, and the National Weather Service will be issuing watches and warnings. Excessive heat watches, excessive heat warnings. And while the big question about this is, well, why do you have excessive heat warnings when in Arizona it just gets really, really hot anyways? Well, here we are in April, and we're talking about triple-digit highs. And typically we see triple-digit highs June, July, August. So what's the big deal? The big deal is that we haven't had time to really acclimate going from winter and then all of a sudden ending up with spring, a very short period of time, and then going into summer-like temperatures. So we need to acclimate our bodies. We need to kind of just get used to this gradual warming trend that's going to happen from winter to spring to summer. So when we get these bursts of heat, then we start to see things like excessive heat watches, excessive heat warnings. And it just basically means that you're going to have some incredibly hot temperatures, even by local standards. High temperatures that are going to feel very, very hot. If it's a watch, it means it's likely in the next couple of days. If it's a warning, you're probably going to see these kind of conditions in the next 12 to 24 hours. So this is something very important to watch out for. This is so you know what is coming our way. Tips for the heat. This is always good to hear every spring. Now, for those of you who maybe aren't used to this kind of heat, depending on your climate, the best thing to do, first of all, drink water. Stay away from the carbonated drinks. Stay away from the sugary drinks. Stay away from the alcohol. And be sure you're drinking water. Even if you're not thirsty, just help maintain that body's hydration level. You need that. It's very, very important for your body to keep cool that way. It produces sweat. Sweat is a cooling process for the body. Wear light and loose fitted clothing. Again, those lighter colors reflect a lot of the sun's energy. They don't absorb the heat as much, so it helps you keep your cooler. And also, enjoy the air conditioning. Talking about going to the malls, or you go to the library or the movie theater, or you're doing some shopping, whether it's at the grocery store. Those are places, again, where you have plenty of air conditioning. Avoid the peak heat of the afternoon. Those outdoor activities, try to do those in the early morning hours or into the later evening hours, even after sunset, or at least when the sun is really low on the horizon. Give yourself a fighting chance against that heat. Avoid that peak heat of the days. You go from 10 a.m. right up into about 4 or 5 p.m. Those are tough times to be outside. Also, make sure you have a hat, make sure you're wearing the sunglasses, have the SPF, have that sunscreen. Very, very important. But again, the best thing you can do is just avoid the heat as much as possible. And also make sure for the four-legged friends that you're conscientious of their paws. You can take a look at the temperatures, the air temperatures there. When that air temperature is hitting 90 degrees, the concrete is starting to hit 125 and the asphalt at 140. Now at 140 degrees, it takes about a minute for that paw to burn. So again, you're talking about very painful conditions. So do keep that in mind. Again, early morning or later evening time frame for the dog walks, for the bike rides and things like that. And also with the inside of the car. That outside temperature of 100 degrees, it takes 10 minutes and that car has already warmed up to 119 degrees. And for those of you that have to park your cars outside, it is always going to be very, very hot with that sun out here in Arizona. So make sure you're always running the air conditioning, certainly, but don't leave the pets in the car. And by all means, make sure you check that back seat if you have the little ones in car seats. Here's something that we don't concern ourselves too much with in Arizona because it is rather dry, especially in comparison to the rest of the country. But when you're talking about the heat index, how that humidity will add to that feel-like temperature. That is something that you have to take very serious. So if you're in places like the Gulf Coast states, or if you're down towards Florida, or even areas where the dew points start to reach the 60s and the 70s, you're starting to add to it. So even though the thermometer says 85, 90, 95 degrees, when you have that high humidity, it makes the body feel like it's even hotter. You might have a heat index of 110, 120, even though the air temperature might only be 85 or 90. That humidity makes it hard for the body to sweat, and that's that cooling process. If the body has a hard time sweating, you're going to be basically raising your body's thermostat, raising the temperature and making it feel even hotter. So again, something to consider. So even though you may not have temperatures in the triple digits like we do here in Arizona, you still need to be very conscientious of those temperatures, of those dew points, and that heat index. And finally, we'll just kind of end on a did you know kind of note here. The dog days of summer, that's a term that gets thrown around quite a bit. Do you want to know where it came from? Well, actually, the dog days of summer comes from the dog star, Sirius. Now, as you get into the summer months, that star starts to appear in the sky, and the ancient Egyptians actually believed that it added to the heat. So it added heat in addition to the sun. That was their belief. And hence we have the dog days of summer. So a little head scratcher, a little did you know there. But again, heat, while again it's not, it doesn't grab the headlines or your attention like a tornado or a hurricane or a big winter storm or lightning, it is something to take very, very serious. And again, that is why we as meteorologists take it very, very serious. So just remember what mom and dad told you growing up. Drink lots of water, enjoy the air conditioning, stay safe out there, and we'll get through these hot summer months and we'll be able to enjoy them as well. So that's a lesson for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Jamie Cagle, and this was your 12 News Weather School. It was the Heat Edition. Have a great day.